After the explosive success of the PS1, which for a first console did insanely well, pretty much killing Sega in the home console market and managing to sell over 100 million units. The PS1 also played a large part in getting Sony to make development kits, leading to the console having over 400 games developed for it. So depending on who you asked, it was a certainty that Sony was going to make another console. Unless you asked Sony, of course, who denied developing another console entirely. Sony might have started developing the next console by early 1995, though not a lot of details are available about the development of the PS2, but at some point during development, Ergonaut Games were contracted to make a graphics chip for the upcoming console. Sony didn't use the chip from Ergonaut, as they had developed their own in-house chip, later named the Emotion Engine. Sony had contracted a few other companies, but this was just to give them options if the chip designed in-house didn't end up working. By early 1997, some news outlets began reporting that the next PlayStation was being developed and that it would be backwards compatible with the PS1, and also have internet connectivity. However, Sony continued to officially deny a successor to the PS1 was being developed. According to Chris Deering, then president of Sony Computer Entertainment Europe, there was uncertainty in the company as to whether they could make another console that would have the same degree of success as the PS1 did. On the 2nd of March 1999, Sony officially announced that they were developing the PS2. Sony unveiled the PS2 at the Tokyo Game Show on the 20th of September 1999 and showed off demos for Gran Turismo 3 and Tekken Tag Tournament. They chose these games as they showed off the graphical power of the PS2. When asked about the PS2's design, Teyu Gato stated, "PlayStation 2's real-time graphics have no limitations. That's why I chose the color black, as it represents the infinity of the universe. The blue represents intelligence and life spouting up." The PS2 had a 64-bit CPU, the Emotion Engine, developed by Sony and Toshiba. The Emotion Engine consists of 8 separate units, each performing a different task, all integrated on the same die. The units comprise of one central core, 2 vector processing units, and a 10-channel DMA, or direct memory access, which basically allows subsystems of the hardware to have direct access to the system memory. The CPU also consists of an image processing unit and quite a few other things. It runs at 300 MHz and can handle 6,000 instructions per second, with a floating point performance of 6.2 gigaflops and packs 32 megabytes of memory. The PS2's GPU was also developed in-house. It was named the Graphics Synthesizer, and it has a fill rate of 2.4 gigapixels per second and capable of rendering 75 million polygons per second. It runs at a clock speed of 147 MHz with 4 megabytes of dedicated memory and a maximum resolution of 1280 by 1024. The PS2 was launched in March of 2000 in Japan, October in North America, and November in Europe. Sales of the console, games and accessories made $250 million in the first day, beating the Dreamcast's $97 million. This led to the PS2 being hard to find as retailers were sold out almost immediately, leading to the PS2 selling for over $1,000 on eBay. The wildly successful launch can be mostly attributed to the strong brand recognition that PlayStation had, and also the backwards compatibility with PS1. What also helped with sales was the marketing campaign with the slogan "Live in your world, play in ours." Over 4,000 games were released for the PS2 over its lifetime, and the PS2 itself sold over 155 million units. The most popular game for the PS2 was GTA San Andreas.
Here we go again.
Selling just over 17 million copies. The PS2 was also successful because of its ability to play DVDs, and with it also being cheaper than most standalone DVD players at the time, it made it a great choice for home entertainment. As said earlier, the success of the PS2 pretty much killed Sega in the home console market, leading to them discontinuing the Dreamcast in March of 2001. Just 18 months after its launch, meaning the PS2 became the only 6th-generation console available on the market. That lasted for a whole of 6 months, until the original Xbox and Nintendo GameCube launched, with all of the consoles having their own strengths and weaknesses, where the Xbox had the most powerful hardware, using a modified Pentium 3 and an Nvidia-based GPU, whereas the GameCube was the cheapest console you could buy. While the PS2 theoretically had the weakest hardware, it had the upper hand with DVD support, while the Xbox needed an adapter for DVD, and the GameCube had no support at all. But the PS2 also had very strong developer support and great brand recognition. On launch, they had what some considered a lacking game library, but that changed during the holiday season in 2001 with the Grand Theft Auto series and Metal Gear Solid 2 coming to PlayStation. In May of 2002, Sony cut the PS2's price by $100, making it $199, and also putting it at the same price as the GameCube. Sony then cut the price again in 2006 before the launch of the PS3. If you want the history of the PS3, check out my video about it. On launch, Sony placed little emphasis on online play, but this changed when Microsoft unveiled the Xbox, which featured Xbox Live, leading to Sony releasing the network adapter for the PS2, along with SOCOM US Navy SEALs, to demonstrate the possibilities of online play. Sony released the PS2 Slim in March of 2004, which because of a manufacturing issue caused worldwide shortages, and reportedly also because Sony underestimated demand. The shortage was also worsened by a tanker getting stuck in the Suez Canal, blocking a ship from China carrying PS2s from delivering to the UK, which dropped sales from 70,000 consoles the prior week to just 7,000 consoles the week after. There were also shortages in 1,700 shops across North America. The PlayStation 2 continued to be produced until 2013 when it was discontinued, which is pretty wild considering the PS4 was just about to be released when it was discontinued, meaning it lasted 2 generations before discontinuation, making it the longest supported game console ever, with 12 years of support. The last games made for the console were FIFA 14 and ps 2014. And so marks the end of this documentary about the PS2. Thank you very much for watching, consider subscribing, drop a like, and have a great day.